Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Oceana. I'm going to be sharing the best contemporary romance books that I have read in the last little bit. I've made so many videos in the past recommending different romance books, so I'll link the playlist down below that I made. I do have a ton of videos, so you can check those. There's gonna be some overlap. I try to change things up between each video, and you have seen some of these books fairly recently in my wrap-ups and different vlogs, but I still like to make one recommendation video for specific topics. So today is contemporary romance in honor of February and Valentine's Day, so I thought this would be fun. So hopefully you do get some recommendations from this video. I'll write all of the books down below, and I will link their Amazon link if you wanted to check them out on Amazon. And let's just get into it. It is a mix of Christian romance and just secular romance, but all of these books will be clean, and if there's any kind of like content to be aware of, I will let you know. So I will start with the secular romance and then do Christian romance at the end. So here we go. One of my favorite secular contemporary romance writers is Catherine Center, and I haven't talked about this book recently, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about it. So this is What You Wish For. This is technically a companion sequel to Happiness for Beginners, but you definitely can read them separately. And I didn't know that it was a companion sequel when I read this because I had read Happiness for Beginners already, and I didn't even pick up on the connection, so you really can read them separately. So this was 5 stars. I loved this story. This is set in a school and you follow teachers, which is different. You don't see that a ton in the books that I read. And in this one, you follow the teacher librarian at a school, and she is so passionate about her job and she loves her school. She loves her staff. The school is known for being really kind of happy-go-lucky and very supportive among the staff, but then they get a new principal in and he brings in all of these rules that they're not used to. And so it is a kind of romance between this teacher and the principal, but it also is like a very intense story about trauma. And if you have a trigger of school shootings, then do be aware that this is definitely, it goes into details of the effects of that and feelings around it. It had so much emotional depth for that reason, and there is one kind of like bed makeout scene, and it is like fade to black, so you don't get a ton of details, and even the details you get were quite mild in my opinion. So there's that, and then there is mild language, not all throughout, but just at certain parts when there is like some intensity. I believe there's 2 F words. So overall, I would consider this clean fiction, and I would highly recommend it. It is just one of the best Catherine Center books, even though I really love most of all of her books, but this one really stands out, and I don't see a ton of people talking about it, I think because it came out a while ago, but I do highly recommend it. A more recent author that I'm going to keep my eyes on is Courtney Walsh. This is a secular romance, but she has written Christian romance in the past. She used to be published with Bethany House, I think, but now she's doing self-publishing things, although actually she is still publishing traditionally as well. So she's doing a whole bunch of things, but this book in particular is just clean fiction, and I seem to like those books by her, so I'm really excited to keep reading. But this one in particular, you might see that it's a fall theme. There's barely any fall vibes. There is, I think, Thanksgiving is in this book, but like even that, it wasn't described a ton, and you could easily read over it. So I do think that any time of year you could read this book and really enjoy it. But this is a childhood friends this is a childhood friends to lovers story and a best friend's brother trope, which really I do love. The girl is a book lover and she has a secret romance podcast, which is very fun. She like answers romance questions. And then the guy is a firefighter, and it opens with him saving her from a house fire, and you go from there. I just thought that like each scene felt definitely tailored towards romance readers. They were very cute, that it was good banter. The girl was quirky and kind of awkward, but it wasn't too cringy for me. And I just like really loved seeing the progression of their relationship and then hearing the history behind both of them and what happened between them. I just thought it was really well done, and I liked the writing a lot, so I definitely would recommend this one. It is fully clean, no language, and they kiss like once or twice, but it was very mild. So yeah, highly recommend. Another contemporary romance that I recommend is The Friend Zone by Soraya Wilson. I still need to get my hands on this book, but I just really enjoyed this story. It is a sports romance, and I just loved the setting. I haven't read like a college setting in a while, but yeah, this is set in college and the characters are like study buddies and the guy's a football player, and the rule on his team is that the guys have to like not get into any trouble. They can't drink, they can't swear, they can't like be with girls, and it's very funny. It's kind of a comical thing, but the coach is serious. And then of course the coach's daughter is totally off limits, but this guy is around her a lot and they are study buddies, and she wants to try to win over a different guy, so he like starts helping her do that. But of course they start liking each other, and I just really loved the story. There is kissing and some of the makeouts, there aren't a ton, there's like maybe 2 makeout scenes. They are like very intense, I would say, but they don't lead to anything, and in my opinion like the thoughts were like not walking a line for me, so I was comfortable reading it, but I know others who weren't, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, there's no swearing, which is nice, and just overall highly entertained and definitely loved this book. Okay, and then I do have to mention The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is my favorite Sarah Adams book, and I really do like sports romance, so I think that's why. This is another football player story, and in this one it's friends to lovers and it's fake dating, and it just had all of the like ooey gooey cheesy romance that I really love to read. I thought it was well written, and it is closed door, and there is some language. There's an F word here and there, but not a ton. It's actually more his friends that do it, and his friends have like 2 or 3 scenes. The characters themselves don't swear, so it's really nice that way. And then yeah, they do have like a lot of chemistry, and then there is a fade to black scene, but it was definitely closed door in that sense, and I was comfortable reading it, and I was just highly entertained by this book, and it stands out as a good contemporary romance, so I wanted to share it. Now we get to all the Christian romance. I have a way more because I read way more Christian romance because it is pretty much guaranteed to be clean. I will share like different content warnings, of course, but I will share some of my favorites. I can't include all of them, and there may be ones that I leave off from this video that you're like, but you love this book. I just can't include all of them, and I have so many videos already, so I'm trying not to be too repetitive. You know what my core favorites are. I may just like show them briefly, but I'm going to try to talk about books that I haven't talked about or that are fairly new to my favorites list in this video. So here we go. Number 1 is Autumn by the Sea by Melissa Tagg. This book, I can't express, like, I think I was just so surprised that I loved it so much. I was just hooked by the story immediately, and then the characters, I loved them. So yes, this is a Christian clean romance, and I really like when the author can weave in a mystery that I actually care about, because there are times when in a romance book there is some kind of mystery to kind of keep the characters together and keep the interest in the plot. And normally the mystery is boring to me. I could care less what it is. This one I was so curious about it and I wanted to know. I think because all of the characters around the main character were so interesting to me, and they were written like they were real people, like they were really well developed side characters. And I think that really shone in this book. And then the setting was just so on point. This is definitely a fall themed book. I mean, you can read it whenever you want, but it had fall vibes for sure, so I would recommend it for the fall time. But in this one you follow a girl who has no idea who her family is. She tried looking for her mom at one point and that went really poorly, so she just doesn't know anything about her past. And then one night a guy comes and is like, hey, I'm a private investigator. I think you might be related to my client. Will you come to Maine with me and figure that out? And she does, because she wants to know. So you go to Maine, you meet this older lady, she has some kids, and there is of course a romance and the mystery of the girl's family and then also the older lady's family. So the family mystery and like the connections and who's related to who, it was so interesting to me and it was really well done. But honestly, the romance stands out so much in this book. I loved the romance. The characters were mature, they communicated, they were respectful to each other. There was still like kind of flirty banter, and then there was like intense moments between them where they were caught off guard by their feelings, but it was all written so well. I just felt like the progression of the relationship was just the most satisfying thing to read about. And then it definitely was fast paced. Like I just flew through it because I had to know like how it was going to end. and I thought it was really well done. So this is definitely a favorite and a great contemporary romance to get into. It is the start of a trilogy, so I can't wait to keep reading these books because I was so impressed. Okay, next I want to talk about a duology that I haven't talked about in a while. I don't even know what the duology is called. It might be the All That Really Matters duology, but anyways. So All That Really Matters is the first book by Nicole Deese, and then All That It Takes is the second book. And this is the stronger book in my opinion. All That It Takes, like, just everything, every theme, every character was 5-star level for me. All That Really Matters was 4 stars, but I still highly recommend it, and I think it's worth reading before All That It Takes because they're not companions. Like, you do have to read them in order, in my opinion, to get the most enjoyment. Isn't this such a cute girly book? I love it. So in this one you actually follow like a beauty influencer, and she has a YouTube channel. She's kind of like famous online, and she is trying to like beef up her resume so that she can become a host of a TV show. So she needs to like kind of get some community service on her resume, and her brother is a pastor, and so she's like, hey, is there anywhere I can volunteer that looks good that I could put on my resume? And so there is a youth house for basically youth that live on the streets, a house for them to stay. He is like friends with one of the guys that runs it, and so he connects them. And of course the guy's really skeptical of her at first, but she is persistent, and her personality was very funny. She was endearing to me. Like, I could see how people might think she's annoying because she was quite vain at the beginning, but in a way I saw myself in her. I could relate to her really well, and then her character development through that, like kind of the humbling experiences that she has by volunteering at this house, were very inspiring. And you get to meet some of the teens that are there. There is like definitely drug abuse talked about, kind of child abuse, and just like homelessness, so be aware of that. Really like seeing her growth as a character, and then the relationship development, kind of just how the plot goes, I was really entertained and I liked it a lot. But All That It Takes is absolutely a 5-star book. This was so good. This was kind of centered around women and pregnancy and how to support single mothers, and it was just so beautifully done. So this book follows the brother of the girl in this book, so he's the pastor, and then also the girl in this book's assistant is the love interest. So you follow those two, and the assistant has nowhere to stay, so she ends up renting a place from the pastor guy. So it is a romance between them. She has a son, and so there's definitely a lot of like motherhood being talked about, but I really felt like their relationship was so inspiring, so mature. I loved seeing the way they communicated, their fears, and all of their like hang-ups in the relationship felt so realistic. And then the overall message of like women and supporting mothers was just so beautifully done. And the faith content also stands out so much. She has like a come to Jesus moment that is the most beautiful thing ever. And I think the way that Nicole Deese wove this story together, like seeing kind of the flashbacks that we got and just like how she made it all come together at the end, was so impressive. So this is an excellent contemporary romance duology. Okay, a book that I haven't talked about in so long. I did read it a long time ago, but Wildflowers from Winter by Katie Ganchert, same author as A Broken Kind of Beautiful. This is definitely a favorite, but Wildflowers from Winter is also very good. So highly recommend this book. Basically, if you have triggers like with a mother relationship, so this is like a mother-daughter, a lot of like toxic relationship there. So basically this girl is leaving her city because she is just sick of her family and she doesn't want to talk to her mom anymore. So she actually finds out that her grandpa, is it her grandpa? See, it has been a while, but I think it's her grandpa, passes away. In his will, he has like a huge farm, and he has a farmhand. And in the will, he wills the land to the farmhand and the house on the land to her. So she's coming to check out the house and she wants to just sell it, but she can't legally sell it because the guy, the farmhand, has to agree to also sell the land that it's on. And he's like, no, I'm keeping this land, too bad. And she's like, well, I want to sell this house, like, whatever. And so basically he's like, look, can you stay for like 3 months? Let's just like figure this out. Maybe I can convince you that it's worth it. Like, if I can show you that I can run this and we can turn a profit, like, will you let me keep it? And so she agrees. So it is a romance between them. And really, I remember there were so many funny moments because like she is a total city girl, not a farm girl, and so there was this funny situations with that. And then just the like scenes that they had together, it was just so funny and awkward in the most endearing way. Like I just loved their relationship because it was very kind of like hate to love, but also they were nice to each other, but she kept like fumbling and he had to like help her, and it just was very good. And then there is progress in her relationship with her family. She does talk to her mom and things get better. Overall, this book is really good. I would highly recommend if you can find it. It's been out for quite a while, so it's hopefully around somewhere. And then also A Broken Kind of Beautiful is great too. So this author, I know she's writing different books right now, but her contemporary books are really good, so I'd recommend them. Okay, you guys already know this book. This is such a good book. Because it's so funny. Like, this is pure entertainment and I was here for it. Like, I could see how maybe this could be like annoying or, you know, not that deep, but really, I don't care. It was funny. Okay, that's what you want. These characters are living together. They don't know who each other is. They leave notes on the counter, and in real life or like out in the real world, they are talking and liking each other, but they don't know they actually live together. And read the book to like know what the context is there, but seriously, so funny. So yeah, the romance, it was so good. The side characters, setting, great. Okay, definitely an all-time favorite contemporary romance book now. I laughed so hard. It was really good. Okay, I've been talking a long time. I'm gonna end on this book because this book is also so impressive. This is Dangerous Beauty by Melissa Coslin. This is kind of like, I would say, suspense, romantic suspense over just like straight contemporary romance. But I feel like the contemporary modern setting of this story made it more impactful because this does center around human trafficking. And you follow this girl who was trafficked out of Mexico into the States, and she finds a way to escape. And then she runs into this guy who she like doesn't know who he is, but he helps protect her. And because she's an illegal immigrant, he has to marry her for her to be allowed to stay in the States. And so she agrees because there's something about him that she trusts. So there is a romance, there is like intensity scenes about human trafficking. There's a mystery around who this guy is that she married, and you get to see her day to day figuring out how to survive, dealing with all of the trauma she's been through. And she has to like learn English, and like it just, every aspect of it was so well done, and I was captivated by this story. And so highly recommend. This is a fave for sure. So there you go. So those are all of the books. I could talk about hundreds more, maybe not hundreds, but like so many more. But these are the ones that made it into this video. I would call these the best contemporary romance books that I have read, but of course there's way more. So check the description because you guys, this is my favorite genre. It is. And so I could go on and on about all these books, and I can't wait to keep reading more books. But for now, here are my recommendations. So I'll write them all down below. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you have an all-time favorite contemporary romance book, put it in the comments. I want to read it. We all want to read it. And yeah, that is everything, you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.